Columbus, Indiana.
Columbus, Indiana.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Um,
I'm going to keep track of all this, and if the moderator will allow me later, I'll explain why. Uh,
yeah, and
um,
I've been hanging out with them for about 2 years now. Uh, beautiful, beautiful place where they live. Um, I know the Alpha. Um, he gave himself his own name, which his name is Striker. Don't ask me why, but um, he's about my age, which is around 30. About 7.5 foot tall, jet black, yellowish eyes. Has more humanish features than like the other Sasquatch. That have more ape features. But yeah, I've hung out with them for the past 2 years. I try to go out there every weekend I can to bring them gifts and stuff, and I still have the gift they gave me is in my truck. They gifted me an Ozark Trails walking pole, which I don't know. It's just sitting by my truck. And I was like, okay, this isn't mine. Yeah.
yeah.
But the first gift they gave me was a deer leg. Um, was the right side of a deer leg, but there was like it was clean. There was like no blood on it. Still had the fur on it. I was like, okay, those are like 3 steps from my truck.
Wow.
Yeah, and they know exactly what I drive because I've had dreams with them in it, and it everything is it's like it's very 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 in depth dreams. Um, like, but I won't bore you guys with my whole story. I'll let you guys talk about your encounters and experiences too. Um, but yeah, it's like it's truly amazing to be blessed among them, and they have deemed me as their ambassador. Um, I don't know. I kind of feel like a Lorax. I speak for them, in a way. Um, but yeah, they've visited me in the house. They visited me out there, everywhere. Just truly
So,
amazing.
Patrick, let me ask you, do you feel like they're speaking to you through telepathy?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a good question because many people have asked me, like, have they thrown anything? Have they done any vocalizations? And my time out in the woods, I've done wood knocks here and there. I've done whoops. Haven't got any responses back. The only time I got a response back was I just did a wood knock because why not? So I did like 3 wood knocks, and then I got 2 in return. So and I speak to mediums and psychics about it because I know a good friend of mine that can speak to the ones I'm associated with, and she's not even in the same area. But yeah, it's like it's truly amazing. Like they've not shown any aggression, nothing, no bluffs or
Right.
anything. Kind
Right.
of taken over like a
Um,
guardianship role is
yeah.
what I've
I
always.
kind of I kind of personally feel like just from my own experiences and having so many different family members that have had experiences, and some of those were negative, but most of them were positive, and all of mine have been positive. But I've always felt like there's some kind of like on a whole different level spiritual connection, the kind of the way that like we're all connected as human beings through a collective consciousness. I feel like all animals can be connected the same way, all beings. And any experience that I've ever had with them seemed more like a human type experience than an experience of seeing a creature or an animal. Like it was a very really good experience for me, actually. And even my first experience was absolutely frightening for me. The first time I ever really saw one, it absolutely scared me to death. But after the fact, I was like, okay, but it didn't try to hurt me. And I was literally this close to it. I walked right up on it out in the woods looking for my brother's dog and was face to face with it. And its face looked so human to me. Like, so, it was just a whole different experience than what other people have, you know?
Hi, this is
It
Mark.
it was really, it was almost a connection happen, you know, the way it looked me straight in the eyes. It was
This is
just
Mark.
surreal. Yeah.
Hey, so the same way that he was talking about them using what a lot of people call mind speak or telepathy to
Yeah,
communicate,
mind speak.
I think I think they also know our intentions or
Mhm.
our
Yep.
mindset before they interact with us. And so if you go out with the wrong
They're
mindset,
2 steps ahead of us.
yeah, they're either going to be hostile or they're not going to interact at all. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. And I think if you go with the right mindset, that you are there to be their friend or to, just
Learn.
interact with them in a peaceful way. I think they then reciprocate with peaceful actions. And so
Mhm.
I've been doing this. This will be my 51st year. So I know there's some of you here that are probably uh,
Wow.
as old as me, but 51 years ago this spring was my interaction, and so or my first interaction with one, and I've had quite a few since. And so I can't say that I've got to the level that the woodman has as far as them accepting me in that way, but I have heard them speaking to each other within probably 50 feet of me. I
Me
have,
too.
yeah.
Their
So I've
voices
been,
are deep.
They actually have a language.
oh yeah. And the sounds that I heard, and this is interesting because when I heard them talking, and I was with somebody else, so I didn't get a chance to record it, but I have a second witness. But we heard them in Pennsylvania, and it sounded identical to the language that Ron Moorhead recorded on the Sierra Sounds in California. And I found that to be amazing that creatures that are, or, I don't know if creature is the right word, but
Right.
entities that are 2,500 miles apart would essentially sound like they're speaking the same language. And I found that
Right.
amazing.
Is anybody going to the conference in September?
Oh, there's
Oh,
so many. One. Oh,
The
the
one in Nashville,
Brown
Indiana.
County.
oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
Brown County one.
I didn't even know about it.
I didn't either. There's one in Illinois in September, in
There's,
Effingham, I think, but I didn't know about
there's,
one in Indiana.
there's one in Nashville, Indiana in September.
I'm gonna
Well,
write that down. I want to
yeah,
go.
if I'm up to
And,
if it's not the same weekend as the one in Illinois, I might go because I was going to be in Illinois that one weekend anyway.
and then they also have them down there at Pigeon Forge.
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah,
really?
that one.
That
That one.
one's
Great.
big.
I'm 40 miles from there right now.
My thing is I'm going to ask a question. Does anybody take the BFRO serious? Or
I don't.
I don't either. I
I
think
don't
I
It's
either.
all for show. It's
experience.
all for show.
But
that show cracks me up. You got camera guys and guys out there, with cameras on their backs. They never
Yeah.
hear anything. Expedition Bigfoot. At least they're getting drones out and looking for stuff.
Yep.
so
Right.
here's the problem.
At least they're trying something
I'm
new.
I'm real familiar with BFRO. I've been around for a long time and interacted. There are individual investigators with BFRO that are very good, but the problem is at the leadership level. And I hate to swear in front of everybody, but I'll say the word moneymaker is the
He's an
problem.
idiot.
And he's an idiot,
Yeah.
and he
And
has
you have
done more
permission
to
to cuss.
harm. He's done more to do damage to any sort of Bigfoot research than anything he's done to help, and he continues to do that to this day.
I
He
think Bobo comes in second.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
Bubba.
what? Of the four people on that show, and I've talked to them personally, Jim Fay, who is Bobo, If you get him aside and talk to him off where
Like
he's
him.
not on a camera, that was
Yeah.
an act. That was mostly an act, and they paid him a lot of money to act like that. And
Yeah.
and you
I
get
like
him aside and talk to him, and he's a very intelligent man. He knows.
Yes. Yes.
I would
agree.
rank him above Cliff as far as being smart. I mean, he's really
Really?
sharp.
I would too. I would too. And just from my own experiences on the investigator level, the investigator they had come here for Indiana with all of my sightings, because I had a continuous encounter for 4 years in Palmyra where we exchanged gifts. I would give it snacks quite often. My little girl would go out with me. We would sing, we would dance in the yard near the woods where it would watch us and stuff. And we had footprints and stuff. My brother um, witnessed those with me, and like tree structures and stuff. I mean, all of the stuff was there. All of the
The
boxes
one in the garage.
were checked. Yes, and I had a footprint even on the wall in the garage. This is my friend Candace. And
Hello. I didn't know
Okay.
if y'all could hear me.
Hi,
the
Candace.
investigator
Hello.
comes to the house twice. He came twice. And both times, the whole time he was there, he was trying to debunk it and tell me I didn't have a Bigfoot.
We're at in Palmyra.
Huh?
We're at in Palmyra.
County Line Road, the backside of
Oh.
Buffalo Trace Woods.
And I could witness to that too because I've been there and seen it.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've
See, I'd
seen
like to do
it.
some. I'd
and
like to
it
do some
loves-
things in the Harrison County this year.
Yeah, see, I do. That's the whole point of this meeting, really. I wanted everybody to get to know each other. I still want to do like a little introduction, let everybody do an introduction. But my premise of doing all of this is because I've had probably way too many experiences in one lifetime for one person, but I've seen 13 types of UFO crafts. I've seen 5 types of alien species. I've had interactions with Bigfoot since I was 6 years old. My
yeah, I
brother
was
and
10.
and our family, and I'm very spiritual. I actually teach spiritual life path coaching, and I'm an online psychic. So I'm already in that realm, right? And I think they pick up on that energy, and from the interactions that I've had with them, I fully believe that this is some type of human. I am 100% convinced of it. This is not some primate that we
Humanoid.
haven't discovered. This is a human. This is a type of
I
a
agree.
human.
I agree.
And if you connect all the dots between the things in the Bible, the giant bones that have been found, the elongated skulls that have been found, worldwide, everybody has a Bigfoot except for like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran.
I know
And
where
they have
some are buried.
they call it a giant instead of a Bigfoot. I think
Yeah.
it's all the same thing. And so I want to go out in the field and be who I am naturally in nature and let them come to us so that we can open a dialogue. And
I think
also,
you guys would like my spot.
there's this whole thought that they're interdimensional too. And
Mhm.
I try to be open-minded to that. But I didn't really buy into it because I didn't want to feel like it was a paranormal thing, right?
Can I
But
comment
now,
on that?
yeah, but let me finish what I was saying
Okay.
first.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Now I'm kind of the mind that there may be something to that, and maybe there's a link between them and alien life on other planets. And I say that, in quotes, alien life, just because we don't understand it. Because I think everything that's happening on this planet could be explained with some kind of science. We're just not there yet. And that's my goal, to connect those dots. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah. So I've spent a good portion of my last 3 or 4 years studying dimensions, and what I'll say real quickly, I'll try to keep it short. It gets pretty complicated, but if anybody's interested, you can look this up easy enough. It's in quantum physics. So if you start looking into quantum physics, they have at least mathematically identified 11 dimensions that are
Yes.
known to exist, mathematically. Nobody's, well, I shouldn't
And
say
they're
nobody's
right
gone into them. We don't know. Now,
They're literally like right here, though.
yeah,
I
right.
know.
One of those dimensions is time, but they believe the other 10 are some form of physical dimension that it's possible that something
Yes.
could be moving back and forth. Now, I'm going to make one other quick comment, and I have a real hard time. I really have a hard time with the whole space travel stuff, because if space travel is true, then everything we know about physics has to be wrong, because
Right.
our physics, based on Einstein's theory of relativity, says that you cannot travel fast enough to do travel between solar systems, for instance. Now, I had a guy a while back say, oh, yeah, but they use wormholes. Physics still has to be wrong, because physics says that a wormhole, the gravity is so great that it will crush anything that goes into it. And so, at least from what we know, a wormhole and a black hole are very similar. The gravitational forces are too great. And then the final problem with space travel is, when we had Star Trek, they had deflector shields. Well, we don't have those. And I'm not saying somebody else couldn't have come up with it, but when you're traveling even at half the speed of light, a particle the size of a grain of sand will go right straight through metal. And
Right.
so there's no way currently, based on our knowledge of physics, and I'm saying that our knowledge,
Yeah,
that
quote unquote.
space travel can be feasible beyond here to the moon or here to Mars and back. I mean, it's just the distances are too great. So I'll shut up.
Right. I agree with that completely.
Hey, can
And
I say
think
something?
just a minute, Candy. I think that we are not looking at the whole concept of a wormhole or that type of travel in the right perspective, because in order for, like, this is quantum physics again, right? We have to look at the quantum physics of it. If there's another dimension right here next to me, then I could be from point A to point B that
Right.
fast.
Dimensional travel, yes.
And I personally, but I think that we can also travel through space the same way, to, like, say, to another planet. I think the whole teleportation thing and all of that would work into this type of math. But I personally feel like we're not taking into account the speed of thought. The speed of thought is faster than the speed of light. And I know from personal experience that thought can make things happen exponentially quickly. I mean, it's a whole big long story, but I've literally resurrected the dead through thought healing. Very fast, zero doubt thought healing. Like 44 chickens, 7 dogs, 4 cats, and then my daughter. And I mean, these people are witnesses to that. And even my friend Candace, like, this is something that really happened. And that's why I'm so passionate about all of this, because we're not being told the truth about our science that they do know, they do understand. They're just not sharing it with us. We're not being told the truth about who Bigfoot is, and we're not being told the truth about who we are. And I want to connect all of it. I want to put it into something tangible that everybody can understand that concept, and then we can run with it. Now, I just left everybody totally silent.
No, I'm
We're
just
going to
waiting.
go around.
I was going to say, I know where there's some dead bodies buried. A Bigfoot. I don't know if it's Bigfoot or if it's the werewolf, the dogman thing, but I know where some of this stuff is at in Charlestown, Indiana. And I will not go back in there alone because now I've had Bigfoot experiences since I've been a little girl throughout my life. I'm 57.
Candy.
We
could go as a group and do something like that. Would you
be
willing to go?
We could go as a group and I can show you, but I've actually got like one of the graves is like 7-8 feet long. The other one is like 6 foot. Then there's some small ones, and they were very protective over this area. And I've been growled at. I've been, and I have pictures.
That's a big
And
violation of their space if we went in there and tried
Yeah,
to
that's like
well,
right. That's
yes,
sacred
I'm just,
cemetery.
it's not far off the road. It's a wooded area and it's like a ditch. And this area, it's not really secluded all that much either. When I came across it, I came into their space and they even went as far as getting Easter lilies and putting Easter lilies. So when you go down the road, it looks like tiger lilies and Easter lilies. And on the other side of that is where their graves are. And my first encounter at this area in Charlestown, Indiana, was back in 2012. And I
Is that
also
on
had
private property or?
no, well, it's kind of just off like a little side road, and you can like park in this church parking lot, and the woods go between that and an apartment complex. And it's like the backside of the woods, there's a creek that runs through there. And what it is I was living in those apartments and I'm a nature lover. So I was venturing off in the woods and this and that and the other. And I knew right when I got back there, something was off. But I kept going back there, you know, tinkering around and stuff because I like being outdoors. And I had some pretty wild encounters. But what I encountered there is not nothing like what I had my Bigfoot experiences I've had in my past. You know, I'm 57. So the last 5 years that I had experiences there, I had to avoid actually I've had to move. I had to move from there because it got so bad. Because I think what was back there, I know what was back there. It's hard for me to really talk about it too much. But I was thinking it was Bigfoot, and I know that something's buried there. It's more than one body. And I encountered a man that was retired military, and he had his hound dog back here at the creek. And I told him, we got to talking about everything. And I said, well, can I show you something? He said, yeah. And I took him to where the mounds were at, and he bent down and he moved away some of the dirt, and he pulled up black hair and then some white hair. He said, oh my God, we got to get out of here. And I said, yes, I know. And he said, come on, let's go. He told me he would never go back in there unless he had a gun. Yeah. So I'm not for sure if it's Bigfoot buried there or if it's actually the other things that I've seen back there.
That's a pretty shallow grave too.
Well, they're not real deep. They go so far down, and they what they do is they pile the dirt over them like a mound, and then they put stuff on top of it.
I gotcha. Okay, so real quick, I just want to go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves, because I think probably everybody that's going to show up is here now. I'm gonna start in this room and let you speak.
Hi, my name is Missy. I've not really had any experiences with Bigfoot, but I'm wanting to learn more about it. My husband, he used to tell me that he could hear things out in the woods behind our house, and I used to think he was crazy. But now I'm not so sure anymore. So I'm here to learn. Oh, and then he would see the red eyes like lower to the ground, and just watching some of the videos and stuff, just trying to do a little bit of investigation. We found that they like to lay down on the ground and scoot around. So I believe they're out there. I don't think they exist.
Yeah, they're crawling. They're like belly crawling.
Yep.
And now he's more of a believer.
So I'm interested to like do some investigation and just see what's out there, because I do believe that we don't know everything.
Yeah. Rob.
My name's Rob. I've lived here in southern Indiana most of my life, and I've never actually seen a Bigfoot.
Speak up so they can hear
but
you.
I've seen plenty of evidence that points towards something else being there.
Talk a little louder so they can hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, I can hear him okay.
Okay. He talks really little.
And I'm convinced that they're out there, and I don't think they mean us any harm.
shut that door.
And I want to learn more about them. I'd like to actually see one and get to communicate with it.
Yeah. All right. Patrick, we'll start with
you. Put me on the spotlight. Well, hello everyone. My name is Patrick. Oh, it's all right. I'm from good old Columbus, Indiana. I've lived here for about 29 years.
From where?
Columbus, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
This all didn't start till probably 2 years back because I used to hike with a buddy of mine out in Brown County. So I just like hiking, being out in nature. But yeah, it's truly amazing. He told me his story back in 1979. Same area, same spot. He was, I guess, whatever that you when you trap something, when you're trapping muskrats or something. And he was walking back from where he was catching muskrats. And he said he heard something like up a hill or little hill and like clawing at the ground or something, or just digging or something. He thought his first impression was it was a bear, which I don't know. I never seen a bear out in my time out in the woods, but he had his shotgun with him. He told me he shot up, like shot in the air to see if it would run away, and he said that whatever it was stood up, basically looked at him, and then basically walked off into the woods. So that's what started my interest in it, because I was a skeptic. I was like, sure, whatever. But now, since I've had 2 years worth of experience with them, I finally understand. It's like, like what Kelly was saying, like these are humanoids that are above average intelligence. They are very smart. I mean, heck, they know where I live. I mean, they've visited me in this very room in a dream. One dream I had, there was a gray one, and then there was a jet black one, and the gray one did more of the interacting than the dark black one did. But it's like I think they use portals. I think anything can be a portal. Anything can be a portal for them. I've actually seen them. Well, one I guess Stryker, I guess him, showed his face in my closet once for like a brief period, and then he went away. But it's like I was like thinking, where did he come from? Because it's like my closet's not that big, you know. But it is truly amazing, and my goal in life is to shed some light with other enthusiasts, people who have had similar encounters, to kind of help them understand, that they're like us. They have emotions, happy, sad, mad, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a lot of respect. I mean, you have to show them a lot of respect, because me personally, I wouldn't go out there and try to shoot at one, because it's like big and bulky. It's like, nah, I'd probably just tickle it. So, I enjoy them showing me small things like in dreams or leaving stuff, because it's like it shows that they're not like what others have predicted. Like, they're not monsters, they're not beasts. They have emotions, and it's like it's truly amazing to be one of those few to be chosen to be amongst them, because it's like me, it's like I don't know what's like. I've asked this question a bunch of times. Sorry if I'm holding everyone up, but
You're not.
it's just it's like, why me? It's like, it's like what we all asking each other. It's like, why was I chosen out of XYZ amount of humans that we're around on a daily basis.
Well,
But that's a little bit on my story and stuff and about me.
Patrick, I love your story. And I just want to say why you, because of who you are as a soul. That I think that they
Yes.
definitely energetically pick up on that, just like we read energy of each other. You know, we can read a room when we come into it. We know if it's somebody's been arguing, we know if it's happy. We read energy. We just don't
Mhm.
notice it as much. They're out
Like in
there
many
all the
people.
time, like relying on reading that energy to survive.
Yep.
Right.
Like many people
So
ask, yeah.
they pick up on that,
And,
and it's your energy. So that's why you. And I actually want to come back and ask you a few more questions in a moment after we let
oh, you're good.
everyone introduce themselves. Terry, we'll go ahead to
You're
you
good.
next.
My name's Terry. I've lived in the country pretty much all my life. Did 20 years in the military, so I've seen a lot of weird shit. But I'm a firm believer that I want to see a body. I want to see a Bigfoot body laying on the ground that I can physically touch,
Right.
and well, you know, no one is ever going to prove that there's a Bigfoot until there's a body. You know, we could say we saw one, we could say one threw a rock at us, but until you throw one in the back of your truck and drive it down to the police station and say, hey, I got a Bigfoot back here, no one's going to believe you.
Yeah.
And I'm that type of person. I know you guys want to hand him flowers and sing Kumbaya and all that stuff to him. Me,
Not
I
everybody.
want to put him in a cage and say, okay, look, I got either got a live one or a dead one. I'm one of those people.
Well, I don't think that we should kill them, just like I don't think we should kill any other human being. And no, I don't want to sit around and sing Kumbaya and do bullshit stuff like they do on TV. I want to go open a portal if that's what we need to do. And I know how to do that because my brother and I have done that. I'm the one that told the people on Skinwalker Ranch what hertz they needed to have their frequency at to open a portal for UFOs. I'm the one that did that. 1.6 hertz. I don't want to go sing Kumbaya. I want to prove they're real, but I'm not taking anybody with me that wants to kill them.
All righty.
Mark, we'll move on to you.
Well, I'm not sure how much I can say, but I guess first of all, my first encounter was, as I said before, Central Illinois, 1973. I've had a number of them since. I won't bore everybody with them, but been at this 51 years. And from that very first one, I became a researcher of sorts. I, of course, had a career and I worked in executive management, and I wasn't able to spend the time during my career that I wanted to. And now I'm retired, and I am putting pretty much full time into researching Bigfoot. And with that said, how much are you okay with me talking about? I mean, I'm not going to talk about anything off color. I just want to talk about something I'm working on. If I can, okay.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate that. I made a post earlier today on my Facebook page, but I don't have a way to really get it out there other than just hoping that people will share. You know what might be better, if you don't mind, to keep my thoughts together without having to bore everybody to death here. Let me see if I can
You want
find
to do a
it.
share screen?
You're not boring me. I'm listening.
Yeah, let me see here. Give me just a second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna do, if you don't mind, I wrote this up earlier and I think I did an okay job, but sometimes when I read things back, I find out things that that I wrote wrong. So I'm gonna read this if you'll allow me. And it only take me a couple minutes. So I said, so I had made a post here a while back telling all the people on my friends list why I am no longer involved with BFRO on a significant level. Now, I have friends who are in BFRO and who I trust, but they're few. Most, now I shouldn't say most, a lot of BFR is just about making money and doing dumb stuff. But anyway, I said, I'm in the process of forming a nonprofit organization to do scientific research aimed at discovery of previously unidentified organisms. I am not releasing the name yet because the corporation and trademarks are not yet complete. I believe this is the first organization of its kind. Once the nonprofit status is in place, all donations will be tax deductible to the contributor. There are grant opportunities for nonprofits to do research in this field, and those will be sought. And I didn't write this part, but I can explain more about that if you guys are interested.
Okay.
Okay, going on. The current model will include expeditions. The current model will include expeditions, but these will be on a donation basis only. This will allow people who have previously been unable to attend expeditions due to cost, i.e. BFRO, to be able to participate with experienced field researchers. A professional database is planned that will include data assignments to report. So, will assign data assignments to reports so that statistical analysis can be performed in the future. And I will tell you that I have a number of people that are already involved with me on this that have PhDs, including myself. So if I'm talking too fancy, that's maybe why.
No.
I said I already have 2 expeditions planned for 2024, and I hope to expand this in the near future. Initially, we will focus on Bigfoot research and expand when possible. However, all cryptid reports will be accepted and recorded. Here are the areas that I need help with. And I go through financial, obviously. I set up a GoFundMe page, and I said on there, I've already invested a lot of my own time and money, but all monies donated will go to the organization. I will not use any for personal expenses. Legal assistance, I said, are there any attorneys out there that would like to help? Website build, database build, which I kind of have the database build covered, I think, but I listed it. Help getting a YouTube channel up and running with weekly shows. I already own the YouTube channel that I want to start. I already own the web sites or the addresses, the URLs that I need to get built. I'm looking for potential board members. I'm going to need investigators. And I said, I'm primarily focusing east of the Mississippi for now. I do hope that someday, probably after my lifetime, but I hope this will expand to bigger nationwide. And that's why I'm making it a nonprofit too, because, I don't want this to rely on me. I want to, it's going to be a board of directors. And when I am not able to do it anymore, or I pass away, then somebody else will take over as the president, and it'll just keep going. So I'm almost done. Expedition leaders to take groups out on research. And then I said, if you have a regional group that you would like to participate, that would be great. The organization, meaning the organization I'm forming, will not try to take over your group. Rather, we will assist via our resources. And then I just said thanks to everybody, and special thanks to all who donate. I asked people to share that, and so far, let me look here if anybody shared. I have 1 like and no shares, but I just put it up a few hours ago. So that's what I'm doing, and that's my passion right now. That's what I'm trying to get going, and I'm trying to do it. I've worked in the past with nonprofit organizations quite a bit. I want to form something that is cryptid, i.e. Bigfoot based, that, like I said, can outlive me, and that will be a benefit to the entire community. Okay, so and I will say that I am no kill, although I will also say I often carry a large gun when I'm out in the woods in the event that I were to be attacked. I doubt that'll happen, but I protect myself. But back to Candace's point, if there could be a safe way to recover one of those already deceased bodies, I would be highly interested. But I will say this, and I'll go back to, I think, Gary, do not, if you kill one, I mean, I'm just saying, if you do not take it to the local police department, because
No.
they will confiscate it. You will never see it again. And they will tell everybody it never happened, because I
Right.
know that
Yep.
that's already happened. I know some PhD level scientists who we would need to get the body to secretly, and
Yes.
they will then protect it at their level, well, as best they could, to prevent the government from confiscating.
That's
Okay.
right. That's why I never called the police when I found what I found.
Right.
Right.
So I have a
No.
PhD that I work with in Illinois, who is a major university, but who also does cryptozoological work. And I would take the body, if one was found in Indiana, I would take it directly to him, because that's the
Okay.
closest place.
Yeah. Well, I love everything that you're starting here, and I want to be on this bandwagon with you. And actually, I can help you with the YouTube. I can help you with the website. I can help you with a lot of things.
Well,
'Cause
I appreciate that very much.
I actually have a lot of experience in that, and business management and accounting and several things like that I went to college for too. So
Good.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Well, I don't brag, but I have a master's degree in public administration, and I don't usually even talk about this, but I have a PhD in organizational management. So, I've taken a lot of those courses, but I can't do it all myself. I've got to find people that I can trust, that can help get this thing off the ground.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm a retired nurse, if that's any help.
Okay, thank you.
And if
You know,
there
that's
is,
good.
if there is the body, sorry to interrupt you, Mark.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, if there was a body found, we would have to make sure it was okay with the Sasquatch people, because they're like, I'm just gonna put this as a story. Let's say if I was walking in the woods and I found a whatever deceased one or dead one, I would want to ask. In my opinion, I would want to ask them if it was all right, because I wouldn't want to take something and then they'd be wondering, like, why is he taking our family member, like that, because
Right,
then
exactly.
then it kind of
The same way we
levels.
would respect any other bones that we found, Native American bones or whatever. Yes. It would all be done under great respect. Yes.
I agree with that, but I also have to go back to a point Gary made, and he's right. Until we have a body, science is not going to accept this as real. And
that's right.
I would love to have their permission, but honestly, I don't think they'd ever give it. And so, in order to provide, the only way would be if one of you that is able to talk to them, if one of you that's able to talk to them could explain that we're needing it to provide protection for them.
That's what I.
That might work, but then they may say, well, we don't need your protection. We've been fine for thousands of years. We don't need your protection.
They told me centuries and centuries. They've been here for centuries and centuries.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I agree, Mark. I think we need to do that middle ground where we're not waiting to get permission, but we're not just grave robbing either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a psychic medium, and clearly Patrick can speak with them as well, mind speak. And I know Candace can, and probably my brother could as well if he had the opportunity, because he's on that level too. And I think we just put it out there and explain it to them. This is why we're taking these. We're not doing it out of malicious intent or harm. Right. This is to prove that you are real to the world.
And to provide protection.
That's our goal.
Can I ask Mark a question?
Yeah.
Do you know much about Melba Ketchum?
I'm friends with Melba Ketchum, yes.
Okay.
I'm very familiar with all of her DNA study and.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask, because I have done a lot of research, and I I believe in what she's done.
I do too. And I was friends with Scott Carpenter before he passed away. So
I know. Yes, me too. That breaks my heart.
yeah, I think, well, we can get into this another time, but I think Scott may be one of those instances where his demise had something to do with the Bigfoot, because he really intruded into some of their areas where they told him not to go, and he initially at least went there anyway. And if you're familiar with getting zapped, he was zapped really hard several times to the point of being knocked unconscious.
Yes.
And then of course they say he died from a brain aneurysm. So I've wondered if those were connected, but
yes, they are connected. They are, because as soon as I found out he passed away, that was my first thing. I said, "Oh no."
So, you know who Bobby Short was? Bobby Short was a Bigfoot investigator from back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Very, very bright lady. And she was the same thing.
Did she have blonde hair? Did Bobby Short have blonde hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I was familiar with her, and I was wondering why she passed.
Well, I think it was similar, is what I'll say.
Well, the area that I was in, that's why I left that area, because they come at me hard.
She was afraid.
Yeah,
but I think that was more than Bigfoot. I think that was more than Bigfoot in that area too, though.
Yeah, there was more than Bigfoot, but Bigfoot was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you intrude in their area, they're not gonna like it, and they'll tell you to leave if they want you to leave.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, then that can cause problems.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never been asked to leave from my area.
No, I haven't either. But I feel like a lot of those instances where you've got campers out and they get run off or scared off by Bigfoots, I think it's probably because like they're leaving their fire burning all night long and not being safe with the fire, or they're littering, or they're being rambunctious, or they just have bad intentions for being there to begin with, And I mean, if that was my house, I wouldn't want you acting that way either, right?
I know a lady.
I totally get it.
I know a lady who goes out a lot, and she goes out in groups, and she has no malicious intent. I know her very well, but she has been zapped on numerous occasions to the point of being, at least on one occasion, unconscious for a short period of time. But with her, that particular instance was an accident. She was walking, and she ended up, because someone else saw this from a distance, one of the other people with her, she ended up walking between what they believe was a mother and a young Bigfoot. The young one was in a tree and the mother was on the ground, and she walked between that tree and that adult, and it knocked her down. And they said when it knocked her down, they saw the small one swing down over the tree and go off, and the mother and it ran off together. At least they're assuming it was the mother. Could have been the father, could have been whatever. But so that one was kind of accidental, but yet she got zapped from it. So,
well, my experiences I've had, I've never really had the fear of them or anything. The ones I've seen, especially when I was a little girl in the woods and stuff. But this past 5 years, it was a doozy. So I tread lightly. Just put it that way.
I think we should all approach this with respect and reverence and honest curiosity, and also protection. I am not opposed to taking your guns with you to the woods. I have my own guns that I carry with me because there's lots of things out there you may need to defend yourself from. So I am not opposed to taking the weapons with us. I just don't feel like we should be on a mission to, shoot and kill anything specific. We're not hunting. We're not hunting in that sense.
Well, and Melba Ketchum's DNA study in my view, proved that they are at least half human. And I think,
Yes.
you know, you know, if you killed one and they run DNA on it again after it's dead, and they determine that
Right.
it's part human, you could end up being charged in most states with murder based on that because it's going to show human
Hmm.
DNA.
Sure.
So that's a
Yeah,
danger as well.
I agree. 100%. I agree. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Candy, do you want to introduce yourself properly?
Well, sure. My name's Candace, and I've been in the medical field for 39 years. I retired / disabled from it in 2014, and I've had experiences from about the age of 10. I grew up on a farm, and I've lived out in the country my whole life. Um, I've always been a woods person. I like to camp, fish, hunt, boat, all that. I've seen them swimming in a lake.
Yeah.
Uh, I was never just alone when I would have an encounter. There was like, at least 2 to 5 of us at any given time. I've had encounters in Georgetown, Indiana. I've had encounters in Clark County, Indiana. Uh, uh, my family owned a bunch of land down at Cumberland Lake. I've had encounters down there. I've never had the fear of them really. I mean, did I have fear? Yeah, at that time I did because I was like, what am I seeing? But this last time when I was living in Charlestown, Indiana, uh, it still kind of shakes me up a little bit. So I'm sorry if my voice gets a little raspy because all this happened to me just not long ago. And uh, I was told in my ear, leave or die.
Oh.
That's what I was told in my ear. And that's why I said, when I had the Bigfoot encounter, I wasn't afraid of the Bigfoot. It was the other stuff that came out. And I got
Yeah.
growled at, and I seen red eyes. I seen eyes turn red. And it had to be every bit of 8 to 9 foot tall. And they told me to quit taking pictures because I had all kinds of pictures, and I still have some. I have some left. I've been trying like a mad woman to find some, and I have them where they're cloaking, where you can see the outline and you can still see their face. But there was other things that I encountered. And then on my cousin's property, who is in Marysville, right outside of Charlestown, they're very active on their property. And every time I go there, we get whooped at, like whoop, whoop, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't feel a threat from them. I've even went camping on her property in a tent, and they'd come up. You could hear them talking. It sounded like a man and a woman walking through the woods, and you weren't talking out in the middle of nowhere, walking through the woods talking. And then all of a sudden, the tent got smashed down on, and then you could hear the male saying like that, and then the woman all of a sudden it sounded like she went no. I mean, real loud. And pardon me. And so I've had that. That was like 2 years ago. Well, maybe about a year and a half ago when that happened. And then when Kelly was living out on County Line Road, I witnessed all that too. And, I'm a believer, and I've always known my whole life.
Yeah.
And I will say this, how everybody talks about space, time, and dimensions and all that. I've seen 3 portals open up, one in Borden, Indiana, and all this was just in 2021 to 2022. I've seen them open up in Greenville, 2 of them in a creek, 1 in a field. Then I seen another one open up in Palmyra, where close to where Kelly was living, and I seen things come through them. And also, I had to do a double take because I was like, oh my God, am I losing my mind? I know I'm not on drugs or nothing. I'm normal.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me. You have that kind of thought process.
Yeah.
And and I know what I'm seeing. And
It's hard to like process.
Yeah, it was very hard to process. But I will tell you this about the Bigfoot. When they would mind speak to me, I was told, okay, it was in the summer, it was July of 2023. And I was in the creek and I seen this black rock in this creek. And something told me to go pick that rock up. So I went and picked it up. I still have it. It looks like a black onyx and it's in a heart shape. It's shaped like a heart. And they told me to stick that in your pocket and hang on to that. And I did. And as soon as I did, I went to walk out of the creek. And when I went to walk out of the creek, I was actually in another realm. I walked into another realm. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Where am I? And I seen a blonde Bigfoot and I seen a brown, kind of brownish black. There was two of them and they were standing next to a tree. And the next thing I know, I heard a voice that told me to jump. And when I jumped, I was right back in the creek where I started.
Yeah, they were showing you. They were bringing you in there.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I never had that happen in my life. That happened in July of 2023. And
that's why I'm starting to think there really is something to this whole interdimensional thing now.
Well, they told me it's realms, that everything is a realm.
It's a realm. Yeah.
Because I said interdimensional and stuff, and they said everything is a realm. It's what they kept telling me. And then I've not had nothing since because I moved away, and I'm in Jeffersonville, Indiana right now. And where I'm at is I got a creek behind me in the woods and all that. I'm kind of between Hamburg Pike and Eastern Boulevard. And so it's still kind of woods and stuff around here. I haven't ventured off too far, mainly because I'm by myself. So I just don't like to go by myself. And I don't have any weapons. So I
don't recommend anybody doing that. No, I don't think anyone should go out by themselves unless they're prepared and equipped to do such a thing.
You got to have weapons because we have not just bobcats, but we have cougars and stuff in the forest trees and everything.
Right. Yeah. I just want to interrupt you here. This is a perfect segue actually to talk about portals for a moment and vortexes and how we can actually create a vortex. Okay. I know that we can because my brother and I have tried. We really can create a vortex by putting our energy together and focusing our intent. There are specific spots on the planet that are naturally magnetic anomalies, but we can also find if we've got the right ingredients of an area, such as a cave or crystal or quartz or running water, particularly underground running water. Those are key elements for being in an energetic spot anyway. And then to put our energy together to create a vortex, we could totally do that. But with that being said, also for communication with these other beings, I hate calling them Bigfoot, but I mean, that's what everybody knows them by, right? I think we need a better name for them. Maybe we'll invent a name.
I call them Sabe. They told me to call them Sabe.
That's what the Native Americans call them, Sabe.
Sabe, S-A-B-E. Sabe.
Yeah. But I want to be able to be in an energetic space where we can create the atmosphere that's appropriate to open up communication with them, to open up the dialogue, let them come to us, not us traipsing out in the woods, beating on trees and doing wood knocks and hoops. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit around and sing Kumbaya either, but I do want to be in the right mental space and energetic space to show them that we are safe and we are genuine and we're intelligent enough to rise a little higher, maybe to their level, right? Because I think they're up here.
Yeah, I think I sent you some pictures, Kelly, if you want to share them around with everybody.
Yeah, let me do a share screen
I like
so
your
that
friend
Patrick can walk.
Candace would see it, and Mark would
Yes,
see
I
it.
would love to. I would love to see
I
them.
got some good ones. I got some money ones, and they
I
came
had
to
some
me.
real
I
good
didn't go
ones.
to
I
them.
gotta find them.
My stuff is moving slow.
Yeah, I would love to
We got
see
some
your
black.
pictures.
Yeah, what I've been told from other psychics and mediums is they're attracted to whatever aura I possess.
Yes.
It's not just me going out there looking for them. They find me. They search me out.
Yeah. That's because you have a white light.
Yep.
You have
a white light.
Yeah. That's what I was told. I was told they were attracted to me because of the white light that I carry around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have to go looking either. They find
Okay.
me.
So
Can you all see the picture on the screen now? Let me know if this
Yeah.
is working right.
Can I enlarge that? Is that a tree?
I circles and that's not a tree. I believe that's a female.
Okay, well, she's big.
Yeah, you can see her nose and her eyes.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
wasn't really that far away from me either.
Yeah, I think that's a really good picture. I'm actually going to take this picture and put it on my computer and enhance it a little bit so that
Go
and
ahead.
then
it's
send
even
it to
more.
me.
Any pictures?
Yeah, I will.
Any pictures you want?
I'm going to post it. I'll post it on the group when I get it done.
I want to get me a GoPro or something that I can put on my back and one in the front.
Yeah.
Because they detect cameras. They have drained my battery. I don't know how many times.
Yeah, they do drink.
They broke a game trail camera that I had. They took a good picture of them, then they zapped it. It doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's another good one. I think that one's a male.
Let me see.
I don't know if that's the alpha, but he's a pretty big male.
Oh yeah.
You can see his distinctive dome-shaped head.
Yeah.
And his brow ridge.
Okay, so Patrick, for anyone who can't understand what we're looking at here, where should they be looking in the picture?
Straight in the middle.
Straight in the middle, like here?
Yep. You should see a log, like a tree stump to the next of it, and then it's like it's sitting by that tree stump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just kind of like in the kind of on like its knees or something, or on its like I don't know, kind of crouched, kind of just watching.
I see it. Yeah.
Observing.
And that's a small picture on that end, but I see it.
Yep. And then that's a good one. I think it's like I think it was moving away because you can see where his arms and legs. It's like every time I take the pictures.
And again, tell me
same thing.
Where to tell people where to look in your picture.
In the middle.
So here
should see. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. In that range, yes.
Okay.
Well, I got one where it is squatted down.
That's my first picture.
Wow.
That's the first one I ever took.
I used to go camping in Brown County State Park.
Okay. And for anybody that can't see him, this is him right here, right?
Yes, right there. Yep. It was kind of far away, so I had to zoom in just to see where he was.
Mm-hmm. They blend in with trees so incredibly well that in photographs, it's hard for some people to notice what they're looking at. And I mean, in my encounter, when I was 16, I literally walked 2 feet from this thing before I even realized there was anybody there. Like I had no clue. I thought I was looking at tree trunks. It blended in so well until I saw a human face attached to the tree. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's not even a tree.
Yeah. And that's
My
probably
first-
my most clearest
Oh, wow.
one I have.
That's a
that's
really
That's a good face there.
That's a really good one right there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
need
most
to take a
people I've
better look
shown-
at those.
Yeah. I have a bunch of them. And I circled where his face was.
Oh,
I see it.
and it, okay, it dropped it. Sorry. But that was the last picture. Why am I signed out? You crazy thing. Okay.
Yeah, but those are some of the good shots I've taken of them.
Yeah.
They've allowed me to take them. They don't seem like they don't want me to take pictures of them.
Yeah, they don't. They told me to quit taking pictures, and they smashed my phone
Oh,
on the creek rock. That is no lie. All of a sudden I got tripped. It felt like something pulled on my left leg, and when it did, I went hands first with my phone, and it smashed it. But I got the SD card out of it.
Yeah.
yep.
I've got a question.
All right.
Go ahead, Mark.
If they don't mind you taking the pictures, it's Patrick, right?
Yeah.
Then
Mhm.
why won't they just step out in the open and let you get a good full body shot? Hit
That's
face
the
on.
question. That's a question I'm still trying to answer myself.
Okay.
Patrick,
Half the pictures
have you tried to ask them to do that for you?
I have not, because usually when I take pictures, I just take random photos. So it's not really, nothing draws me to it. I just take a picture and say, oh, that looks like a pretty good spot. I'll look through it later. And then I catch.
That's what I used to do. Yeah.
Okay, so intuitively, you are being drawn to that spot. It's just so subtle. Intuition is so subtle, you're just not realizing that. So you are intuitively being guided to take pictures of them. Maybe try asking in your mind or out loud if they would allow you to take a picture of them out in the open.
Yeah.
Open that
I can-
dialogue.
They
I could do that.
understand your words.
Yeah. They do understand English from one of the dreams I had. And I can fill you guys in on the dreams if you don't mind. I have really good ones. So
Well, one of the things I've done a lot of too is I've interviewed a lot of Native Americans. I live pretty much half the year right off of the Cherokee Indian Reservation in North Carolina. And I've had the opportunity to talk to quite a few people. And, you were talking about names. I mean, every Native American tribe has a name. They're all different. Sabe is actually the Cree name from up in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sasquatch is a butchered version of a word that was a Native American word from really up in British Columbia. I can't think which tribe, but every tribe has its own name for them. That's interesting that they want to be called Sabe. I'd never heard that.
Well, I was calling them Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and then I said Sabe, and they said, yeah, you can call us Sabe.
Yeah. So, but I will tell you that the Native Americans that I've spoken with tell me that they are capable of speaking pretty much any language. And the reason I think they can do that is because they do have the ability to mind speak. And in order to mind speak, they have to go into your brain and know what language you speak in order to make it, understandable to you. Now, with that said, the Cherokee have a story that they used to actually trade with whatever, I can't think of their name for them, but they actually interacted with them and traded with them, and they would speak to them back and forth verbally in the Cherokee language. And I asked one of the guys, and this guy was pretty old, and he was telling me stories that his grandparents told him. So we're going back well into the 1800s. And I said, okay, so why was it that all ended? What happened? And he said, white man. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we got along with them. We didn't kill them. We did have
Yeah.
problems. He said we had problems sometimes. They wanted to steal our women, but he said we got along with them. And when the white men came, all they wanted to do was kill them. And so
Right.
they became very reclusive and went off into mountains and now they don't let anybody interact with them. That was
Right.
exactly what he told me.
Well,
And I'm totally on board with that because, yeah, I mean, look at society today where we have that shoot first, ask questions later mentality. And that's not the way we should be going about this.
I was raised with my Native American heritage.
Yeah. So were we. I was actually smiling really big, Mark, when you mentioned that you lived near the Cherokee reservation, because that is our bloodline, is the Cherokee Indians. Our grandfather, who taught me a lot of being in respect and reverence for nature and how to work with the crops and the moon and all of these different things, was actually a son of a Chippewa, and her father was the chief of their tribe of the Chippewa, which is a branch of the Cherokee. And so I love everything that the Native Americans have to say about this particular topic, because I think they understand it far better than most.
And
everyone
Candace
else
mentioned how long they had been here earlier, and all of the natives, and I've spoken to them all across the United States, they all say that whatever word they use, the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever, was here before they came here. So whenever they came, and whatever their story is about how they got here, and various tribes have different stories, but regardless of that, they all seem to share in common that they say that the Bigfoot was here first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah. My
That
dad.
reminds me of.
Go ahead.
No, you went first. I didn't want to interrupt what you were saying.
I was just going to say, my dad was almost full blooded, and my great grandfather was a chief, and my dad was taught. He didn't live on the reservation or anything. My mom is like a German Dutch, and on her side there was a Choctaw, and on my dad's side they always said that we were Cherokee Indian. But I have done a lot of research, and I believe that we're from the Lumbee tribe, and they were down on the rivers of the Lumbee River through West Virginia and stuff like that, because I have a lot of Native American relatives that are from the mountains and stuff. And I was just always told when I was a little girl, I come from a big family too. There was 8 children in my family. We were just always told not to talk about it, not to talk about that to anybody about anything that we see or witness or anything. We always kept everything in the family. And I didn't really start going and talking about any of my stuff that I know until I got older in life, and it started coming out.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that's an important aspect to think about in all of this too. Maybe not to focus on solely, but to keep in a little file over here that bloodlines, family lineage has some connection to this whole thing too. Because I think several of the Native Americans could very well carry the same genes or blood types, or however you want to look at that, as these giants, or, you know, Bigfoot, or whatever you want to call them. Like Mark said, you know, there's numerous stories of where they would come and take the women from the tribes to breed with. So to me, all of that makes complete perfect sense. That's why 2 perfectly normal average sized people can give birth to a very large, tall, or extra hairy child occasionally, because it's been passed down. It's like a dormant gene passed down through the bloodline. No different than my brother has blue eyes and the other 6 of us all have brown eyes, you know, and both of our parents had dark eyes, but he got the blue eyes from one of our grandparents from being a dormant gene, you know? So I think the same thing can be said for, you know, being tall and being redheaded and you know, maybe even the blue eyes is a connection to that. I think O blood type has something to do with it. I think RH negative has something to do with it. Like, I really feel like we can find all of those dots and connect them and get a whole complete history of not just who they are, but who we are. Because I think we are all related.
Yes. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever experienced this, but have any of y'all been flashed before? I have been flashed once. It was kind of like a yellowish, just a big old yellow flash.
Light?
This was out. Um, this was out in the woods because I just
You mean
put
like
a trail.
light flash?
It was like
flash?
if you, it was like a flash, like kind of like if you took a camp picture, but it was all yellow, just all yellow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that was amongst the first time I've ever been flashed. And that's the first time that because I think one of them was trying to meet with me because me and a buddy were hiking and just set out the trail camera. We're by the truck, just jabbering. And then all of a sudden you just hear like if you took two flat rocks and you hit them together once. And then we both looked in the same direction. And my buddy of mine wanted me to walk down to the creek by myself. And at the time I was kind of spacious about it because it was new. So
Yeah, sure.
I
Cautious.
I was cautious. So I began to walk to the creek, and I remember hearing something to my right kind of copy what I was doing. Like I would walk, I would stop, and then it would stop. And I went out, and then we both went out there, and then when we turned around to go back to the truck, then that's when I got flashed. And my friend, he never got flashed, but I did. But yeah, it was truly truly amazing.
So I think that flash of light actually has something to do with this whole portal thing, or dimensional shift, or realm shift, or whatever you want to call it. I think it has something to do with that.
Because it wasn't bright. It was just bright enough where my eyes would. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
same thing with like a lot of people will see orbs in Bigfoot areas. You know, they'll see orbs of light or a UFO up in the sky, or, you know, like I think there's something to the energetic area of the land itself, and perhaps there's some type of portal or something that opens there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been told I'm more grounded out in the woods. But yeah, going back to the Native American part
in nature,
which is odd because I don't have any Native American in me. I'm Irish German.
Irish.
The thing that's Irish and German.
But I can draw that dot for you.
But the weirdest
Irish,
thing
German, and Indian.
Me too. All of us, all three of us.
The strangest thing was I had a dream, and this was amongst the first dreams I've ever had with them. And I remember I was standing by this gate out where I hike, like kind of like a fire trail kind of a gate. And I remember I had my hand up pretty high up, and one of them came out of the woodwork and grabbed my hand, not forcefully, just kind of like gently, like if you were holding hands.
Right.
And we walked like 2 steps, and it plopped down, and all I remember it morphed into a Native American woman, an older Native American woman. At that point, I asked her 2 questions. I asked her, can she understand English? And she said a little. And then I asked her, how many live out here with you? And she said 5.
Wow.
Yes, I was like, okay.
Was that a dream or was that an experience in the woods?
That was a dream.
That's very cool.
That was a vivid dream. My truck was there where it was parked, and yeah.
That's wild because
maybe you do actually have some type of connection to Native Americans that you don't realize,
He
Patrick.
could be psychic. He could be psychic too and not realize it.
That's
What I've
true.
been told is this I call him Striker. Well, Striker, who's the alpha. I've learned from other psychics and mediums that
Yeah.
we are like, he has a part of my soul, I have a part of his soul. So that's how we're bonded. And so but
That's
other
quantum
lady,
entanglement.
yeah. But the other lady, well, a friend of mine said that that basically he is a different version of me, but in a different reality. Basically, we're both the same people, but he's the Sasquatch me. I am the human me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. I can believe that, because I fully believe that we all have soul family, soul tribes, and that doesn't mean that we're all in a human form, you know. And I believe that we have different types of soulmates. And personally, I believe that whole twin flame talk isn't some other person that you're meant to find necessarily and be a couple with, but perhaps another split of you in another reality, learning from a different perspective. So I kind of take, I take the offshoot road to a lot of things.
You know how I told you that I went into the other realm and I seen the blonde haired one and the dark haired one?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I took from it, because they were having discussion which one I was going to go with.
Like you're connected to them.
And when I was standing there looking at them, I knew everything they were saying. And then the female voice told me to jump, to get out, jump, get out, jump. And that's what I did. And I was right back where I started, right in the creek.
Right.
But
earlier you were mentioning you had seen them swimming, and that reminded me of when we lived in Palmyra. I had a swimming pool there, and it was right outside of my children's bedroom. And I remember my little girl, she's almost 9 now, but at the time I think she was about 7. She said, "Mommy, I looked out the window last night because I heard something by the pool, and I think there were 2 Bigfoots in the swimming pool." And
I remember that too.
The next morning, so when she told me that, the next morning I went out to the swimming pool to look, and the water was actually incredibly gross and dirty. Like overnight. It hadn't rained or anything, but the swimming pool water was disgusting. Like I had to thoroughly clean it before we could get back in the pool again. So, I mean, that very well could have happened. They were in there taking a midnight dip or something.
Yeah.
And Patrick, I have a question for you about your dreams.
Go ahead.
Do you think that they're actually visiting you in your dreams to teach you something? And if yes, what specifically do you think that they're teaching you?
I've had many dreams, which some of it I do not understand, some of it I do understand. I'm going to get into detail with one of my other dreams that are more vivid, kind of different. But I was in, like, where I'm at now in the house, but I was upstairs and, like, when I'm visiting parents, like, where they would sleep. But I remember this wooden table, and there was, like, a group of us, but we were all human and stuff. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but there were 2 of them that were arguing with each other. And I remember there was a big window, and I remember looking out the window and seeing one, like, in the front yard, basically looking up at me. And then one point I was standing right next to it, and then I was back up with the group or whatever, and they were fighting, and I can't hear what they say, but it's like, or maybe they didn't want me to hear what they were saying, but one of them started doing some thing with the other one, like rubbing its neck across the edge of the counterpiece, which I didn't understand. And then I got up, and like I was about to leave, and I heard a voice come to me say, "Please don't leave." And I looked, basically just turned around and looked, and I remember one of the human figures was looking at me, and I just went back and sat down because I didn't know what, because I didn't want to be rude and leave and what they were showing me, but it was very vivid and very kind of, I don't know.
Also confusing though. You don't really know
Yeah.
what they were. That's okay. I
Because-
just wondered if you knew. And Mark, if you can hear me, I know you've got your microphone muted.
I can
I have
hear
a
you.
question. Okay. I have a question for you too. You say that you've had 51 years of experience. In that 51 years, as a takeaway, what could you say were some really unique things that you have learned or noticed that most people don't?
Oh, that most people don't. Huh. Well, I've come to find out that a lot of the things that I've come to learn over the years, when I get together with groups of folks like you, they already know it. And I think, oh yeah, I discovered that. But then they're like, oh no, we knew that a long time ago. So, one of the things that I kind of thought was original to me in a sense, although I don't really know if I can't really say absolutely, but I think they can see in the infrared spectrum. And I think that's why we never get trail camera pictures and such, because but then there's another part to that. So the new trail cameras have a method on them where you can turn the IR off, and yet we're still not getting pictures on them. So I've come to the thought that it may be EMF, if you're familiar with that. All electronic devices emit EMF. And I'll give you an example. When I told you I heard him talking, that was only about a year ago. And I was with another guy. And at first, we were both basically dumbfounded, right? We heard him. We knew what it was. We're sitting there with our mouths hanging open. We're sitting by a campfire. And I know right where they were. They were very close, although they were very careful not to leave tracks because they stayed on hard packed gravel, because we went and looked the next morning, and where they were at was very, very hard packed gravel. So there were no sign of footprints. But they had been talking for maybe 30 seconds back and forth. There were two different very distinct voices, I think a male and a female. And they were talking in their language, not ours. And I pulled my recording device out, and literally, I mean, the instant that I hit the record button, they stopped talking. And some people said, oh, it was just coincidence. Well, I think they somehow knew. And the only thing I can think of is when I hit that on record button, that device put off electromagnetic frequency, and they somehow heard that or knew that it happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, they immediately shut up, and we immediately heard them walk away. So I'm beginning to think that they, and it could have been the whole mind speak thing. They might have just been reading my mind and knowing what I was doing. I don't have any ESP that I'm aware of. I'm not even good at, you were talking about reading a room earlier. I'm not even good at that. And the older I get, I think the worse I am at it. I tend
Never too old to learn.
Well, no, but I'm saying the older I get, it's almost like the less filter. I say things before I even realize I've said them.
Yeah.
But,
me too.
Yeah, but anyway, aside from that, I don't know what caused that, but I'm working on that, and I'm working on a number of different ideas for potentially photographing. I mean, using some cameras that don't have IR and don't emit EMF. And one of the things that I've been looking for, and I haven't been able to find one yet, I want to find some old cameras that were mechanical.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
And set them up on either tripwires or pressure pads along trails. And by tripwires, I don't know if anybody there, hopefully they weren't, but if anybody was old enough to be in Vietnam, they used tripwires that were as thin almost as a human hair. I mean, they were tiny. And I don't know if Bigfoot could detect that. Maybe they could, but I would, I've been experimenting, looking for ways to do cameras that do not require electronics.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I rambled too long there, but that's
No, you didn't.
so that's okay. So let's see what else there was. So the EMF, the infrared, the I'm undecided about like where they spend their time. I have seen what I would call nests, but they're almost more like day beds. I don't know if they spend their nights up in trees or caves or
Hey, Mark,
yeah.
let me tell you what I seen. Okay, where I seen where the bodies were, when I was back in the woods, they took tree limbs and instead of doing a teepee up high, there were those teepees up high and it was going around a tree. The other ones were lower to the ground. Like you would think that it would be like a beaver dam or something like that. And I've seen them high up in the trees too.
Right. Yeah, I've seen all that. I just don't know. I don't know if I know they put scouts up in the trees. I've seen that at night, but I don't know where the rest of the group is at that point. And I've heard stories that they stay in caves. Other people say no, they don't.
Yeah, they do. They stay in caves. Oh, yeah, they do.
So yeah, I mean,
yeah. But I think they also make nests. They have like nesting areas.
They dig underground.
And sometimes it's in a cave. Sometimes it's just a nest though on the ground, right? And then also the teepee type structures. Sometimes you can find them living in those. So I think it just depends on the territory, really. But I think you're definitely onto something with them picking up on the EMF.
They do. Yep.
Yeah. I really think there's something to that because even humans, scientifically proven, too many of those like new light bulbs, whatever those new light bulbs are, the LEDs or whatever.
LEDs and
LED. Yeah, like that aggravates people, and even though you don't notice it, you're feeling it and picking up on it.
Well, fluorescents are bad too because fluorescents in offices are they actually pick up the 60 hertz cycle, and anyway, those fluorescent bulbs are constantly putting off a waveform that's irritating.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, you're being bombarded with it, whether you notice it or not. And I think that goes back to they read that energy a lot better than we do, even though it's a natural, innate thing for all of us to do.
I have a real quick question for Kelly and Candace, since you guys are the psychics in here before I have to get off and go. How would I get on their frequency? That's what I'm trying to. How would I get to their frequency?
So I think the best way to do that, honestly, is just to sit in nature and ask them to communicate with you.
Yeah, meditate. Yep. And they like clear crystal quartz.
Oh, I have one in my truck.
If you put that in your pocket, I think they get drawn to that too.
Yeah, because I have one in my truck that supposedly Stryker touched. Because I gave one to them as a gift, but I guess they don't wear it. But I just keep it in my truck.
Keep it. They keep them in their area, like wherever they're at. They'll keep them in their area.
Yeah, but I have like one where I've done the pendulum thing, where you hold your palm out and it spins or goes back and forth. They communicated through that as well.
Yeah. And that's another thing with our grandfather being a Native American. He taught me dowsing. And that's another aspect that I can offer to us doing this endeavor, because I know how to do you can use a tree limb, something as simple as a tree limb from like a willow branch, or a pendulum, or dowsing rods, which I also have, copper dowsing rods, and they will help you to find energetic spots, lead you to things that you've lost. I mean, there's many benefits to dowsing. You can find water with them. That's what my grandfather, our grandfather, did. He witched for water, which, I mean, that's also something we would need to do if we don't see a visible water source, you know, to look for good areas to be in that are energetic. But you can sit there with those. My point was, you can use your pendulum, you can use your dowsing rods, because their energy can interact with ours in that method, you know, to give you answers, right? But I would think that you wouldn't really need a tool like that for verbal communication, since the mind speak and all of that's possible. And they do have their own language. The thing about their language for me, I don't know how Mark or the rest of you feel about this. It's like you can hear it, just like if I were hearing Missy and Rob talking quietly somewhere. You can hear it, but you can't quite make out what they're saying. But it makes me feel like I should be able to understand it. Does that make sense to anybody? Like it sounds like my language, but it's not my language.
Right. No, because I've heard the same thing. But my recommendation, if you're out in nature, just put a clear crystal quartz. It don't even have to be a big one. Just put one in your pocket, because I know that when I don't necessarily mess with a lot of this. I mean, I have a lot of stones and stuff like that, but I'll just stick one in my pocket. I don't really wear them that often. And I would just, like, anytime I've been out in the woods, I clear my mind. I do positive thinking, and they like it when you sing. Like I would tell nature, I would sing to nature about how I love them, and I love the trees and the bees, and I love all nature. And yeah, they like it when you sing to them.
Yeah. And the crystal, Mark, you might want to try this yourself. Just put a little crystal in your pocket, because it actually helps you to naturally open up to your psychic abilities and your being able to read energy and stuff like that, because all of that's a God-given gift that we all have. We were innately born with that. We're just kind of not taught to look at it, so we don't enhance it, and it can fall away. You know, it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it.
I've never tried to do anything with it. My mother was very, I mean, she had, to me, it seemed like a lot of what I guess would call ESP. I mean, she knew stuff that, and my dad used to douse. I mean, he did it. He knew how to do it. He showed me how to do it, and I've tried it, and I've been somewhat successful with it, but I haven't tried it in a long, long time. And he always said, yeah, either willow sticks, or he would actually just take a couple of pieces of wire about 2 feet long and bend a square in one end, and he would like rest the tip of the one wire kind of in his hand on his little finger, and then just hold them out so they could pivot freely. And he would find water and things, but you know, that's all that I ever saw done with that. I want to bring up one thing here. I don't know how everybody's wanting to go. I think pretty soon. So before we before we go, well, we're going to have to pretty soon. But I want to tell you guys that number one, NASA has recently, within the last year, admitted that they know portals are real. They've also said that they can see them from the Hubble Space Telescope, and they can see them open and close. They just haven't, they claim they haven't figured out how to control them yet. But with that said, and I can't release a lot of details, but I interviewed a lady recently who had absolutely nothing to gain. Her and her husband, they're both in their 70s. They've lived on the same property for 25 years. And she said here a while, they've had Bigfoot activity over the years. And she said here a while back, these vehicles pull up in their driveway. And she didn't know who they were. And these people got out. She said some of them had military uniforms on and some were just plain clothes. And she said they didn't ask. They came up to the house and they told them, we're going to set up a camp here on your property for a week or so. And we are going to examine what we believe are 2 portals that are on your property. Now, interestingly, I asked her at that point, I said, was there anybody with them from NASA? And she said, yes. One of the ladies had a NASA ID. And I said, well, that makes sense because NASA is trying to find these and figure out how they work. Well, she gave me quite a bit of information. I was surprised that they shared as much with her as they did about this. They told her where one of the portals was, but she said they pretty much already knew something weird was in that particular area. But she said they wouldn't tell them where the other one was, and she didn't know why. She got
I know we're.
that it was something really bad. But she said that one of them told her off the record, and that's why I'm not going to say who it was or where it was. But she said somebody told her off the record that they actually were able to open a portal, and one of them went into it for about 20 minutes. And they were in very much what Candace was talking about. It was like a whole different realm. They described a very beautiful place, and that it was much more peaceful and serene than here. And then they came back, and she said, they didn't tell her how they did that, but they were able to access that portal. The other portal, it was like they didn't want anything to do with it. So it's almost like it makes me wonder if they already knew there was something bad on the other side of it.
Right.
And she said the word they're using for this, if anybody hears this, and this isn't meant in a bad way necessarily, but they called it weaponizing. And I said, well, that's a weird phrase. And she said, yeah, but they said all that means is learning how to use it. Doesn't mean we're using it as a weapon. They're worried that whatever's in the other realms or the other dimensions, whatever you want to call them, may be trying to use it as a weapon against us. And so, anyway, if you want to do some research, there's some stuff out there from NASA. Anyway, yeah, okay, that's all I had, I guess, for now.
I think they're right. I think they're right about that too, Mark. I think that there are entities, beings in other realms that are trying to manipulate those vortices or portals, if you want to call them, and come here. What do you want to say, Candy?
I want to tell Mark about them portals. I have not been just in one portal, like a realm, what I call them realms, because I actually seen portals open up and I seen stuff coming out of them. But the realms I have walked in, that wasn't the only one where I seen the Bigfoot. The other two, there was bad stuff there. And like I went right in and had to get right back out. And the one where the two Bigfoots were, though, I stood there for a few minutes. I was in there a few minutes when I seen them. I seen them from head to toe. They were leaning up against the tree. And then the female voice came and told me to jump, told me to get out. But I do believe some friends of mine that live in Washington County, I went to their place to visit them about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And while I was there, I was looking out their they live kind of out in the woods. And I was looking out their big bay window and I said, you realize y'all got some gray areas back here? And I said, I see stair steps. Something looks like stair steps. And they both looked at me and they said, you see that? And I said, yes, I do. And they said, well, there's a portal that opened up back there. And her husband's a real avid hunter. And he said, all the deer come up missing, everything, all the wildlife. And they don't, just hear birds and stuff. But he went deer hunting and everything. And he said he had no luck at all. Yeah. And that's about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And speaking of portals, you want to tell them about the one you know about?
I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was a portal or what.
Well, tell us.
All of a sudden, the power lines started jumping and waving, and then across the field, it looked like air you could see that was chopping back and forth.
Like a vortex.
And it came across, it was picking up leaves and debris out of the field. throwing it up in the air like a tornado would. But it wasn't a tornado. It was like a sheer, two sides of it that went in opposite directions. It
Right.
turned as it was going, and it across the field and down over the hill into the woods.
Yeah. And in hindsight, we actually think we created that because we were putting our energy together and we were actually focusing our energy on this little small electric wire that went from my house to my pump house. And the electric wire started like jump roping and undulating and then freaking out. And it was like the electricity of it shot out the other side to that field where we then saw and heard that vortex being created and flying past us. So
is that when you
we
seen
think
a
that it
thing
was
in the
our
tree?
no, this was just a vortex that we saw that we think we like created the vortex, you know.
Hmm.
And also, where I live now, the very first time I met my neighbors a couple houses down, the first thing out of her mouth to me is that we have a portal right back here in the edge of the woods. The woods go alongside all of our backyards. And she said that we have a portal that opens up that she has seen it open up and things walk in and out of it. And this is before she knew that I was into anything about Bigfoot or paranormal stuff or any of that. Like she didn't know any backstory on me at all. She just volunteered this information to me that there's a portal right here where I live now. So
Well, what did
that
she
might
see going in and out of it?
so she has seen a Bigfoot, what she called a Bigfoot, come in and out of it. And she has also seen things that she called demonic, that she don't know how to describe them. She just thinks that they're evil looking coming out of it. So
You guys know what a rake is?
Yeah.
yes,
So there's been a lot of reports of rakes around portals.
that's in my opinion, that's the same thing as a skinwalker or a Wendigo.
Yeah,
I think
very
that's
similar.
all the same word for one thing. Yeah.
Well, now that y'all are talking about that, I
And
didn't want to. Go ahead.
100% those 100% those are here in Harrison County because I have
Yeah.
seen it and heard it. And they scream like a banshee. It's the most horrible scream I've ever heard in my life.
Okay. I
never
just want
wanna
to say
ever-
this real fast. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Y'all are talking about portals and talking about the vortex and all that. I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to sound crazy. Okay. But when the one portal that I seen in the other part of a creek, one of them, I seen a doorway, and the door was I could see the glass in the door. The door was green, and I seen a being, some sort of being that was probably 3 foot tall, and it was knocking on the door. And this was all inside water in the creek. And it wasn't where I went through the one. This was in another section on the same property. And when I was standing there looking at it, like, what in the, hockey sticks am I seeing? And so I'm just standing there and I'm like, oh my Lord. And I looked over, there was a hill coming down. And when I looked over to my left on the hill, I seen another portal. That is, I seen military, and these look like they were cloaked. To me, they look like spirits, like people would call, not really ghosts, because they were solid. I could see them. I could see them in their uniform. They all had their military weapons. They all were in camouflage, and they were laying on the ground, and they were going behind trees like they were hunting. They were hunting what was coming out of the other portal. I witnessed all that, and it was in broad daylight.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I've seen it more than once. Well, get this. That was in 2023. So 3 or 4 weeks ago, how I told you I went to my friend's house out in Washington County between, let me say the Pekin area, Pekin, Indiana. And when I was out there, and they told me the same exact thing. When they seen the portal open, they seen stuff come out of it. There was no deer because he went hunting. He didn't have no luck. And he said it's the second year in a row that it's done that. And he looked at me and said, you're going to think I'm nuts. And I said, no, I won't think you're nuts. Tell me. And he told me that he seen military people. He said, I could see them. He said it was almost like they were invisible. Like if you couldn't see them, then you wasn't going to see them. He said he seen them. And he said it's like they were cloaked. But he said, I said, did they have on their military garment? He said, yeah. He said they from head to toe, hats and all, weapons, everything. And I said, well, it's funny you tell me that because that's what I seen. You know, and the land from where I witnessed all my stuff and their stuff is probably just a 20-minute drive, you know, on back roads going to country and stuff.
Right.
And, pardon me. And so anyway, but I have witnessed that and I've witnessed it more than once. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording part of this. And then I have something I want to say.
Is there a way that I can share somehow? I don't know how to do it. I'd like to have anybody there that's willing to share that post I made on Facebook, but I don't know how to get it to other people that aren't on my friends list.
I'm going to help you to do that. And we're going to share it on YouTube too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, we can do that. I have a special YouTube channel already set up, but I haven't done anything with it yet.
Yeah, I'm going to share the link in this video once it uploads to the public. I'll put the link in the description box for that.
Okay.
So that everyone can have it. Hold on just a moment, though.
Sure.
Hey, is it okay if